Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. We got a show for you today, pretty exciting, hopefully. Any questions, please call in, text in. However, we got the comment section open. So us Skype, email, any way you want. But we're open for questions and we'll give you answers. So you have anything you want to say, please come on as well, as long as it's important. And it's not just some story. So what I'm going to do today, we're going to talk about a couple things going on right now, which are pretty important. And then I'm going to go into the hardcore section about the UFO world, what's going down in that and what's happening. But let's start off with today. Today on AOL, the news said they had a video up of Tic Tacs. One person that released the last Tic Tac released another one. And it's starting to talk about them now. So Tina will show something a little bit later when she comes on. But they're starting to show them because they're getting ready for 2 weeks from now, 15 days from now. They're supposed to go and release all the files to Congress and stuff like that. So we'll see what comes out of it. How much they're going to release to the world, how much is really going to be shown to us as the public. I know what's going on in the secret end of the UFO world, which most people don't know. But there's a lot of openings for different kind of people to come out and bring some truth out there. So I'm going to let Tina say hello first.
Hi guys, hello Tommy. I'm Tina Barrett here in the UK. You can find me at ET Garrett on Facebook, and you can find me on Twitter and all the other things. But I don't really post very often. I do the show once a week with Tommy, and it's been quite wet and rainy here in the UK. And yeah, it's a pleasure to come on the show every week here with Tommy. Tommy, how are you?
All right. Now, what I want you to think about while you're listening to this show, there's a lot of ways to go out to find out information. The internet, TV, talk to people, call people up. But the fact is, any information, whether you want to believe it's real or not, you have to do research on it. Don't take anything anybody says as fact, whether it's religion, spiritualism, any kind of truth. Because a lot of times mankind likes to twist the truth, recreate it, and put out a lot of stories in between it. Why I'm doing this show with Tina, we try to put the ultimate truth out, her truth, my truth, not what we believe, not what we think, what we know. And there's a big difference between knowing something and thinking you know something or thinking you want to know something. I'm going to give a bunch of names later, but I'm talking about people that experience things like Tina and I. I'm going to say a few names of people that I knew that are dead now, but they were really hardcore in the UFO world. So the UFO world's changing greatly from what it used to be 25 years ago to what it is now. I mean, there's a lot more people speaking, a lot more stories out there, but there's very little proof of anything, which is even more sad because you would think after a long period of time, we'd have a lot more information. And it's not like the government's hiding it. The government doesn't talk about abductees. They don't care. They're not promoting it, not stopping it, not saying anything about it. They just ignore it while the percentage of people being abducted is increasing. So people need to be aware of these little things that are going on, how to get involved, how to get uninvolved, how to stay aware of what's happening. Now, I don't bring too many people on my show because I don't believe too many people out there are telling the truth or have something important to say. Tina is one of the most important people that I believe in the UFO world as far as abductees. She has more awareness, more truth about it, more understanding what's happening than almost all the other people in the UFO world. I listened to them for a couple of years, and they all say the same thing. They know nothing. I mean, and then we got the experiences now, which is another word I totally do not like. Experiencer, meaning they had an experience of being with aliens, no proof, no evidence, and they went in their bed, and aliens came to them and said, "Hey, come on our ship, we'll take you for a ride," and they get this great experience. The last thing on that, they don't have any actual proof of anything important. if some alien race is going to come down to talk to you, to tell you something, don't you think they'd give you something a little important to use or have? Why would they waste their time doing it? So in that, I'm going to give it back over to Tina, because I'm going to try to get her to talk a little bit today about her experience again, because people need to know what the real world is out there in the UFO world, not the make-believe world. Back.
Right. So where to start? So a lot of people have probably been abducted and don't know it. So people, excuse me, but people that do remember something, you very rarely find that they come forward. It's only when they're like a point where they've exhausted other outlets, or they need help, or they just need to get it out of them. So that's normally, or something else is going on. Excuse me. That's when they normally need to. You feel an urgency inside you, and you've got to get it out, or you've got to tell someone. Once it's out, you're fine. So normally, and there's a point or breaking point to that. So for me, or turning point this was going on for at least 40 years of my life. But like, it wasn't regular. It wasn't like every single year. It comes and goes throughout your life. Excuse me. But so it's what makes people come forward. For me, like I said, it was a turning point. I did need help. It was due to ill health of mine and my partner. Mainly my partner was getting considerably very ill. So when you try to turn to people in those fields, when you don't know nothing about it, you feel totally clueless, totally helpless. Are you doing the right thing? Are you going to seem like a nut? So it's in forward world. So whether it's a sighting, a viewing, abduction, or you know some information, anything like that, it's not knowing it. It's actually telling someone or telling the person. So you know, there is that to it. So that's the biggest hurdle in any story or account. So and finding the right outlet in here in the UK is almost impossible, and it took me a while. So once I was over that, I knew by the time I was in my mid to late 40s, I knew I needed assistance. I needed to get it out, and I didn't know what was going on. I do apologise. I didn't know really what was going on and things like that. So when I did manage to find someone to get it out to, it all kind of came out in one go. And yeah, I'd love a cup of tea, thank you. It all kind of came out in one go, and then once it was out, I wasn't bothered at all. Once I felt immediately better. Once it was out, it was the help that I was after. And I feel that no matter what culture you're from, no what part of the world, or you're rich or poor, or what's ever happened to you, anyone that's been abducted or had a realization to what's going on does need help. They do need medical help. I mean, you know, if you can imagine anybody laying down, someone drilling holes in you and taking chunks out of you, the damage they're doing internally, and it affects your life going forward. So when you're older, when you're my age, it affects you more. The things that have happened to you, you know, when you've had bits cut out or chunks cut out, you know, it affects you in later life. So there's no medical assistance in there. There's no life cam or planned life care or free assistance for anyone around the world. I mean, if the governments know this has happened, and they do, they should give free healthcare or free regular checks and free healthcare to anyone in that field. So that's something that I feel strongly it needs to happen. So all of this is getting to you, getting your story out. So at my turning point, I didn't know where to start. Do I start when I realised what was going on when I was younger? Because when you're younger at the time, you don't realise. So I was about 6 years old when this first happened to me. So all I remember is a bright white beam of light coming down through the ceiling. It was in the middle of the night. It came straight down through the ceiling, filled the hallway up, down, and might have gone through the floor to the floor, and it filled the landing up, and there was this white face. And I've been out of bed, and literally I was just stood in my doorway, in the threshold of my doorway. and this light, I was sitting down my pick 90, and just this light shot towards me, and I turned to like run back in my bedroom, and that was it. And that's my first ever experience I remember. I was fully awake, I was out of bed, I was stood there, I wasn't seeing that, it was right in front of me, it was there. So, and then as a child, you don't know, is it something you're supposed to say to your parents? Is this something that happens regularly? Is this, it's not right. It's just, it's really weird. And then you get some other smaller things happen later on, and as like time progresses, sometimes it melts away. You forget, like after a couple of days, you'll forget, or you have a freaky feeling every now and then, or you remember something, but it tends to melt away. So until the next time. So as a child, it doesn't really bother you, or you don't really know. Sometimes you feel afraid, but you don't know what of. And then as you get older, like I said, it melts away, and you think that's it for the rest of your life. By then, you've forgotten it. And it's not till something else happened when I was older, a few years older, that it was just like being taken back to something I didn't remember as a child, but it was a flashback. So I had this flashback of I was an adult, and I was on this bench, kind of like metal bench, and I was like at a 30-degree angle, looking down my body, and there's this orange light above me, and they had like, it was over like a grid, like a white grid, but with an orange light, and the light projected down on both my legs, covered my legs completely, and there was like each square they would put like either a light beam down, or it looked like the size of a match head, and then either put, it looked like it was burning in my legs, but I couldn't feel anything about it, and I couldn't smell any burning or anything. It was quite weird to sit there and watch, but not being able to move throughout the whole process of that. And that's quite thank you very much. And that was people say, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you do something? Why didn't you grab something? When they take you, and you don't realize you've been taken, because your brain is, at the time, you're frozen. You're looking at your eyes. You can't speak. You can't do nothing. You're just like empty inside, and you're just looking at your eyes. You're completely helpless, completely frozen, and that's it. Then all of a sudden, you're not quite sure what happens, and with that, next thing you know, you're back in the room. So it can be disconcerting and very uneasy. But then, has that happened? It took like a flash. The second I was back, it was like a flashback. It took me back to when I was a child, and I remember laying there as a child in this bright orange light. Same thing. It was the same grid over my legs. But one thing I think I've remembered all my life throughout my accounts is like the grey mist in your head. People say, "What's it like?" And all I can liken it to is like when you recognise it, it's like you're not seeing out of your eyes. It's like a grey mist, and it's like a familiar sense. It's like a perfume. So if you imagine perfume as a grey mist in your head, and someone walked by and said, "Oh, that's my Auntie Janet, she wears that perfume," you know it's that person. It's the same with the grey mist. It's like a scent of another person, but in your head. It's quite hard to explain, but that's it. So that's something that's been constant with the abductions. And again, it wasn't until other things happen like along the way, again, it puts behind you, it kind of melts into your life. And then another time, I lived on my own for a while, and I was asleep one night, excuse me, woke up, and it was like deja vu, but like you were trapped in like this deja vu. All of a sudden, this thing, the door opened, I think, and this thing just glided in the room. It was like a black hooded figure, and it was tall, very tall, huge. And I was laid there, I went to grab my light, and nothing happened. It's like you're losing the power. I'm quite feisty, so I was like ready to jump over the bed and kind of have a go. It's a fight or flight, isn't it? And in a second, it seemed like a second, if everything froze, and then I woke up. And I was my side of the bed, full of fear. I jumped off that bed. I searched my house upstairs. I searched my house downstairs. I checked all the doors, all the windows, and I was visibly shaking, and that was kind of freaky and something you didn't forget. People say, "Oh, you were dreaming." When you're actually physically awake and there's something in front of you, you know that you're awake. You know you're not dreaming. You're awake there in the room, and then realization is something I think people are better off. People are better off not knowing at all. Is when something horrific happens to you. So all I can describe it is like go to bed as normal. You don't know, you don't realize you're going to be taken. It's not like you get like 24 hours notice. Yeah, we're going to come around and take you from your room, or yeah, we're coming to like you get no. You go to bed same as normal, nothing out the usual. You've had a sandwich, or you watch the telly, or you've had a cup of tea, and you've had a bath, or you've gone to bed. That's it. To then be no dreams, no nothing, and then next thing you know, you are in a different place. You are aware, but you can't move. So it's not like when you go to bed and you can't move and you have night dreams or whatever it is, and you can't move. You are awake. You are very much awake. It's not like being in a dream state. It's like me talking to you now. You're awake. You're there, and then you're aware. So when everything kind of clears in your head, you're there. You can't move. You can't move your head. You can't really look. You move your eyeballs around. You can only kind of look forward. Literally, you're frozen. You're unable to move. Set up at like a 30-degree angle, and yeah, you can only just sit in horror and watch of what's going on around you. So and that's it. And so people say, "Oh, I wish I was abducted." You don't. If you ever wish to be laid frozen, unable to speak, move, talk, scream, run away, anything like that, you can't do. You have to sit there and take it, and they're like drilling holes in you, or there's blood coming out of you, or they've got this machine and they're in your stomach, or they're ripping chunks out of you, or there's like blood spurting out of you. You are laid there. You are completely out. They're doing things to you, and you've got no control over it. It's like you're screaming. You can't even scream. You're just frozen in horror. So it's like somebody torturing you. So so nobody ever, excuse me, that's my dog. Nobody ever wants to encounter something like that. So people don't realize there is very traumatic a part of being taken or abducted. You don't agree to it, so it is abduction. When something or someone comes into your home and the place where you sleep, where you're most vulnerable, and takes you against your will, without your permission, and then sedates you or drugs you, and you are there helpless, and then they're torturing you. They're physically ripping chunks out of you. You can't scream for help. So that that is a war crime against humanity. So what is also the other side of this is it's not till afterwards you get to realize it. So, oh yeah, I've been abducted, let's get my word out, or get a story, or it's not. People who've been abducted have been through so much trauma. It is like living in a war zone, because there's a potential you're not going to come back, because you never know what's going to happen to you. They could kill you up there if they're cutting chunks out. You don't know that. If they're friendly and it's all done above board, then they won't be abducting people, would they? They would go to say, "Would you like to come with us, or would you like to help our experiment? Can we take your blood?" No. So anything that's done like undercover, and covertly, is not a friendly real approach, is it? When you're abducting people and torturing them, so people have to take that into account. And that's why they say abductees all don't believe that, they don't. Well, I don't change my story. It is the same story. I can't tell you a different story. It will be the same story over and over. It will be the same things that affect me every time. So, and that's what I think about the free healthcare, about, these alien beings are not all nice and smiles and they make you a holier person. No, I mean, what kind of holy person is going to sit there and rip the chunks out of you and take blood and take children from you, and it is a physical and mental form of torture. So you've got to take that into account and effect. Excuse me. So when you're telling someone that, and then you're expecting them to believe you, but people don't want to believe what people are actually telling you is going on. Yet 20 or 40 years ago, there was war crimes committees taking people's testimony, which is someone's story, their testimony, saying this happened to me during the war. I want compensation. This happened during the war. I want these people arrested for war crimes. Why is that not now applying to abductees? Members of the human race all around the world are being abducted. They're being taken. And no one is answering for this. No one is protecting us. No one is giving us healthcare, and no one is listening to us. We're obviously a wealth of information, and we don't think we're special people. I don't think if someone wants to take my place and I'm being abducted and attacked and in chunks taken out, I'm going to do it.
Tina,
yes.
There was a question in the chat room. I don't know if you want to answer it first. Did you read it?
What Mal Max question? Hi, Mal. The orange light, amber light, could it be don't know. No, the light was actually, it was like a glowing light. So I was the first time I encountered it, I was young, but I didn't remember it till I was older. It is like so like this kind of like orangey color, but it was like a bit more amber to it, and it was above me, like it wasn't like a ball, but it was like where the light would be, and it like came down, and it was like glowing, like a soft glow, but that like a strong color, but that it was like that. As a kid, I don't remember it like being a different color or different object or anything else, or all I knew it was an orange light. And again, my main focus, when you're older and it's going on, you're still frozen inside. You can't think I've got to remember that for later. If you remember nothing, you're lucky or unlucky, as it would be. It's just, all I can describe it was an orange. It was a light. So
well, I just want to add something to that. Mm-hmm. Now, I know between the UFO world, the psychic world, and every other realm, people like to mix certain things together. Well, aliens are not demons. I mean, religious people like to call aliens demons and entities like that. But they're separate entities. Now, the difference, what I would try to get people to understand, when we talk about aliens, they have a body, all right? And their body needs food, needs air, and things like that.
Oh, sorry, I just got to let my dog out. Sorry.
But the idea of, what happens with that? Because when you meet with these creatures, entities, beings, and deities, they all have different kind of ways to react and relate to you. Demons react so different. I mean, I work with demons, entities, you name it. They're dimensional beings, which would fit a lot of these things. Most of the words that you hear do not take on a physical form, meaning taken on a physical ship. No demon or devil or creature like that would drive around in a ship. They don't have to. So there's dimensional objects and creatures that come through. But then again, how much can a dimensional entity actually affect the physical reality? I mean, as far as ghosts and spirits and all that kind of stuff, I did all that work when I was younger. They have a place. They're getting stronger right now. Sleep paralysis. Yeah, when they're paralyzed.
Sleep paralysis. Can I just interject on that, Tommy? So sleep paralysis. No, it wasn't sleep paralysis, Mal. I only know that because I've had sleep paralysis. So when people say, "Oh, it's sleep paralysis," I can explain to you what it is and the difference. So when I was 16, just not long been 16, my father was killed very tragically, very sudden, very unexpectedly. And obviously it's a very stressful time for the family. There was an inquiry on how my father passed away. And we were all young. There was my mum and my brothers, and we were all young, and it was just sprung on us one night. It was quite horrendous. So the distress that caused. So I went to, when I did manage to go to sleep, I didn't want to sleep on my own and what have you. When I did go to bed, I went into my room, laid down, face down on the bed, and drifted off to sleep. The next thing I know, I woke. What I thought was I was waking, but I wasn't. I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't focus. I couldn't speak. Couldn't grunt. I couldn't do nothing. But I knew I was trying to wake up. Then all of a sudden I had this awful feeling that somebody was in the room, and the colour didn't seem right. This feeling felt awful. I couldn't move. And it was awful. And then I started to panic because I was worried about my breathing. And then I'm not sure if I went back to sleep, woke up, and I woke up coughing. Now, that's sleep paralysis. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. When you're being taken, sleep paralysis, believe it or not, you can't move. But I realised there was something wrong with my breathing. When you're being abducted, you don't know you're not breathing. You cannot feel yourself breathing. You can't see your chest. If you're looking down and seeing that drilling holes in you, you can't see your chest move. You can only see their equipment moving. So that's the difference. I was having a panic attack or panicking because I knew I wasn't breathing or couldn't breathe. I was laid on my chest. I realised I was laid on my chest. When you're abducted, you can't realise anything. You can only see. Your brain doesn't work. You can't see. You can't panic. So you can, like I said, you can only see through your eyes. When I was having sleep paralysis, everything was blurry. This was clear as day. When it was sleep paralysis, it was blurry, and I couldn't get any feeling or any fear. I was just in shock. I was traumatized, and I couldn't feel anything. So I did not know I wasn't breathing, or if I was. That's the difference of sleep paralysis. So when you've got sleep paralysis, you know, and you can panic, you're not breathing, and it's blurred. When you don't have sleep paralysis and you're being abducted, you can see clearly. I can see my screen. I can see things going on about me, and I can see color. I can see it clearly. Nothing is fuzzy. And I know I'm breathing. When I'm taking, I can see all of that. I can't move. I can't respond. And I don't know I'm not breathing. It was like looking down. You can't move your fingers and you can't move your toes, but then you can't tell your brain you're not doing it. It's weird. That's the difference. Tommy, sorry.
All right. So when we talk about these different entities and things, right now I'm more concerned with the idea of aliens, and they drive around in ships. They do affect planets and people. All right. The government will be releasing whatever they feel like they have to in a couple weeks. And I'm waiting to see how far that goes, what they're really going to put out on the table for people to see and understand. But within the past week, Tina's going to put up a short video. I just went on AOL and they put up a video. They have two people talking about these new release footages of a Tic Tac and things like that. But to me,
explanation of what these objects could be or where they came
from.
So
this is just a quick clip of what Tommy's on about. This was taken from CNN live. It was on the 18th of May at UK time at 1 o'clock in the morning at UK time. And it's a newscaster from CNN states a jaw-dropping fact was released by the American military, American Air Force, to say not only have they been seeing Tic Tacs, they've been seeing whole fleets of them. And they're trying to emphasize, okay, it's one, but then they're more shocked that there's fleets of them out there and the government's doing nothing. So there's not one Tic Tac, there's fleets of them. If you listen to what she says there are fleets of them.
Finally tonight, they are officially known as unexplained aerial phenomena, UAPs. We normally call them UFOs, us normal people. And former Navy pilots are revealing more than we previously knew about what could be close encounters. One of them telling 60 Minutes that they saw UFOs off the Atlantic coast every day for at least a couple of years in restricted airspace. So what you're about to see stunned pilots, as apparently there was, quote, a whole fleet of them.
My God. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west. So look at this thing. It's rotating.
It's rotating. Well, so far, no.
So they're just more concerned that now they're saying it's not one. You see one picture of the Tic Tac. It's the whole fleet, and that's the US Air Force, the US military, and now reporting they're seeing whole fleets of UFOs invading American airspace, and they're doing nothing about it. Tommy.
Well, there was the one on AOL. It says newly leaked video from the Navy. Okay, it's got a couple famous people talking, and they're showing different scenes from movies, but basically it's Tic Tacs, and they're not really showing any kind of a real ship or anything like that yet. So I'm just hoping within the next couple of weeks that something real comes out of all this, because my ex-friend Sergeant 18 and we filmed ships, we filmed real objects and creatures and things like that. We were putting it out there mainstream publicly. Nobody said a word. Nobody cared. One of the few people, John Ford, who filmed a ship crash on Long Island, crystal clear, no mistake, no fake cameras, nothing like that. Best video of a ship crash. He was arrested, put in jail, and now he's in the nut house. I saw the video. He sent it around the world. But it's things like that we need to see and put real proof. The actual things that are going on and happening and what we're talking about. Because right now, people still don't believe what a UFO looks like. And what I'm going to get into it a little bit later is these UFO people, what they're saying, what they talk about, what they prove, and what they don't prove. But the serious part is time's running out. We got so many other things happening on the planet right now, causing so many different kind of problems. Nobody can focus on anything. Can't even focus on being with your family. Can't even focus on having fun. Can't focus on having a good time, going out in the real world, going out for dinner and enjoying yourself. All these little things. And then all these other things are cramping in around you. And nobody wants to talk about that right now. So, because more people are depressed, there's probably more people depressed this past year than ever in the history of the human race. As a world consciousness, everybody's depressed, and plus the little wars or big wars going on, and all these other things going on at the same time. How's a person get balance in their life? How's a person live in a normal way? But like what Tina was saying, when you talk about abductions, it's not like somebody knocks on your door, says, "Excuse me, I want to take you on a trip on a ship somewhere." It's not like that. And a lot of people don't know what's happening to them. I mean, I was doing hypnosis work years ago, and a lot of people have missing time. Missing time is not a good thing. It could be a lot of different things, but one of the things it can be is an abduction. It could be a drug situation as well. But either way, it's not good. Missing time is never a good thing. I mean, it could be something going on wrong in the brain. It could be a lot of other things as well. But people, when you do hypnosis, you can get a lot closer to the truth than any other way. And a person has to be able to be hypnotized. I can't be. But if you can be hypnotized, we can get you to a point where you can see what happened. I mean, it's not like your mind forgets it. Soul is separate. Soul has an awareness that doesn't relate to the physical mind. So no matter what you do to the brain, it doesn't affect soul's awareness of whatever the situation is. Whether it can transform that from the soul body into the mind is a different story. That's one of the hardest things people have to learn on this planet, in this reality. And I've been working with that all my life. So there's a definite way to do it and go about trying to do it. But if all else fails, hypnosis is probably the easiest way to get closer to the truth of something going on in your world that you don't know. And I mean, there's truth serum and all those kind of drugs, but I found out that a lot of them all have different effects on a person. It's not like one drug works for everybody. I mean, there's like multiple different kind of truth serums out there. And I mean, maybe you'd have to try 5 of them to make sure that it works on a person. But when you start doing it that way, you start forcing a lot of other things to happen. But just let me go backwards. In hypnosis, when you hypnotize somebody, you hypnotize everything that dwells within inside that person and around that person. And I'm talking about spirits and everything else. Because the mind is a computer. And it's like everything has to go through the computer. And once it goes in there, it's going to go through the computer. But translating it is the problem, because if you put a language in a computer, the computer's not going to translate it. So when you hear things from soul or from inner worlds and dimensional realms, the mind can't translate it. So it's between soul and mind to make that difference. So when you hypnotize the body and you're working, you have to learn to communicate with soul, which most hypnotists have no clue. They think they just close in the mind so the mind can talk. The mind doesn't know what happens. When a person has a death experience and they leave their body, the mind isn't going there. So to translate it, the mind can't do it. And if you're trying to get the mind to tell what it saw, what it did, it's only going to come up with the simplest things that it can. I mean, if you're dealing with ultimate realities and dimensions and things like that, the mind's not going to be able to translate that. So when Tina talks about what happened to her on a ship, she was aware, and that's the difference when you're aware of something and you can't do something about it. And it's usually never a good thing. And I'll tell you the other thing that goes along with that, which most people don't know or care or want to realize, it is bad, and they program a person to think that it was good. Now, if it was anything good, like Tina said, they'd be here. Hey, you want this? Well, we can help you with this. We can help you. No, they're not doing that. Never did. So people have to wake up and want is the good aliens to come down and work with us. It's not going to happen. Thousands and thousands of years went by and they didn't help us and still aren't.
So I've got a question for all the viewers out there. So all these people that are now enlightened and that are now spiritual and that can contact aliens. So on the 21st of June, when the government releases it, surely all of these good spiritual aliens will want the government to come forward and say, yes, we're real, we exist. No? Or are these aliens going along with the lies with the government? And if so, then they can't be that good and that enlightened. No?
They just asked the question. Yeah, most people don't know what's happening. Even when they're aware of something happening, it's like, I'll mention a name now. Travis Walton, when he put his movie out, Fire in the Sky, all right, he had pieces of what happened to him, and he did the movie. He wants to do that movie over because he said too many things aren't right. But, you know, over time, the mind changes things anyway. So what he wants to change in the movie, like add things to what was happening and things like that.
No, I think they didn't. What they did, I think he said that they added things that didn't happen, and he wanted a true account to come out. So they made it like a bit more spicier to sell the movie, if you're with me.
Well, when I talk to him and he goes on about most people in the UFO world, for some reason, which I'm glad Tina's not doing it, once people get abducted, they become super spiritual. They write spiritual books. They claim they're spiritual healers. They claim all these things. I don't know why, but they do. And suddenly they're better than other people. Now, Travis Walton has this magical healing hand he goes around with. I was with a woman doing a UFO conference, and she was taken to the moon with the U.S. government, and they had 2 aliens on that ship. She was forced to stay on the ship for a couple weeks while they were doing things to her. The aliens even told the humans, the U.S. government, Army people, whatever, Air Force people, that she's an important person. And they didn't care. They just abused her. She was actually tracking the UFOs and everything before they took her on the ship up to the moon. How real the whole story is, that's her story. She did work for the government. She did work for the Secret Service of that as well. Whether she was really working with the aliens and stuff as far as monitoring them or not, that's a different story. But again, I know she started crying like every time she started speaking, because when they took her, she said she lost a whole month's time. Now, imagine coming out of your room and realizing it's a month later. That must be pretty bizarre. So that she lived the whole month without any awareness of what went down. So there's so many things that go on when you're inside a spaceship that the mind really can't perceive or understand, and trying to translate it to people that don't understand it, it makes it even worse. So with that, Tina, do you want to do the Geiger counter thing now?
So yeah, get it out. So guys, me and Tommy decided to get a Geiger counter each. I wasn't quite sure what was going on at the time. So have a lot of problems and things like that. So I got this Geiger counter here, guys. There it is there. That's what it says on the back. Tommy has the identical one. So I'm in England, in Southampton, with my Geiger counter, which I bought on Amazon. And Tommy has the identical one in Hawaii. So what I've got to do is just press the button there, and that pushes it on. So the top one there you can see is volts per meter. That's electrical magnetic field. And the bottom one is micro testers. So that's the Geiger counter. Now, when you put it near anything electrical, you're supposed to get high signal. But I've got a smart screen, so it doesn't give off electrical volts, electrical magnetic field. So last week, just before the show, mine was dinging like mad. And during the show, I went to put it on and it stopped. I wasn't emitting radiation. So I'm going to come away from the telly, so it's not near me. And then I'm going to put it on this side of my head or neck. And there you go. I'm beeping already.
Is that the bottom or the top?
That's the bottom. So that's electrical. This is the micro testers. It's 0.475036. So hold it closer to the TV and it goes down. So I'm going to hold it closer to me. There you go. That's 0.82. So the closer I hold it. So Tommy's electrical magnetical field is, hold it back a tiny bit, Tommy. Is Tommy, I read 1.02 then. And so as I hold this, yep, and 97 then, 0.97. So, but I don't give off electrical magnetic field, but we're going to go back to the Geiger counter again.
People, what you're witnessing isn't normal, and it's not normally possible.
Oh, was that 2 points right now? What was that? It's the light, trying to get the light in there. Let's try the other side. Yep. Oh, it's 1.2, 1.3. 1 point, whatever that is, 127, is that? 131?
Well, I just found out when I went backwards closer to my altar.
Oh, 142 that went to then. So it's beeping because it's a dangerous level, guys. Last week it beeped like mad before the show, and then after during the show it didn't go off at all. I'm just going to see if it's any lower.
Well, you can't be radioactive on and off. It doesn't come and
pick
go.
up other areas. It's in my arm. There, 0.4855, right under just by my armpit. 34, 36. I don't know if you can see that or not. But as I go up.
Well, just for that.
Nothing in the middle. In the middle was nothing.
I was next to a Bigfoot, a foot away from a real Bigfoot, and basically it stamped on the ground, and I went running to get my camera, which I didn't have on me. And then it was screaming for about 5 minutes. I had 2 other people there, witnesses about what was going on when it was happening. But I actually met with them again in another state when I was traveling around the United States. I didn't get really close to them at that point, but I had my girlfriend at the time hear them screaming in the background and everything else. So yeah, they're real.
My armpit there. Oh, there's nothing there, but near my armpit.
And back to the Bigfoot thing, I'm not saying that they don't disappear or can't, but they are solid. They are physical. Being able to disappear for a few seconds is everything that lives on this planet can actually do that. Whether they ever become aware or learn how to do it is a different story. But to stay invisible, to change into something different is not what we can do. All through history, you hear stories about spiritual people that traveled out of their bodies and was somewhere else and things like that. But a Bigfoot, they're solid. They're pretty much running around eating animals and capturing animals and eating them.
It's 0.20, 0.37 on my tummy, 0.39.
Well, getting back to Tina over here, who's radioactive, it's not normal. It's not possible. And any scientist will tell you, oh, no, it can't happen. But you're seeing it here live right now. We're lucky the government's not taking it. But do you want to tell what just happened to you as well, or no?
Well, on one of my profile things here in the UK, it tells you who's viewed your profile. And lately, I've had a few people that have withheld their identity, which you get when people don't want to know, your friends are looking at you, or people that don't want to know is looking at you. But anyone in a position of power, like government ministers or doctors, has to say it's like a doctor viewed your profile, or a minister, or something like that. And last week, a minister or a government minister viewed my profile. But my partner has been getting some weird phone calls at different times of the day and night, and whoever it is has been hanging up. So I was a bit worried. And so, yeah, that was, I'll show you the alert thing I had. So I did message another friend of mine, and I messaged a few people actually just to say, is this normal? And they're like, oh, we don't know. And then another one said they were just snooping. But another friend of mine said, I said, if anything happens to me or my partner, or something does happen, I said, please be aware that this person's looked at my profile. And if anything happens to us, so there was the original one. I blanked out who it was because there's other people I work with, the other pink ones. But the green one there, I have highlighted it for you. That's what it says. So, yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Now, we have about 10 minutes for Tina to stay on the show. So do you want to promote your book now?
Yeah, so
I'll let her talk for a few minutes.
All right, guys, I've done 2 publications so far. I've written a follow-up to the second one. So this one was my first one. There. Oh, sorry, no, that's my one. First one is this one. It's called The Guardians of Light and the Brotherhood of the Night. There it is there. That's me, T.A. Bird. That's a thick, chunky book. There's the SBN number on there. You can buy this. There's me there, T.A. Bird. You can buy this on Amazon, on Kindle. You could get it on Amazon Prime. You can get it on Kindle Unlimited. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get it on there, but you can get it for this one for free. So you go onto Kindle Unlimited, Amazon Prime, and you can get it on download, by the way, as well. So this one here is erotica short story. There's a picture of me on the back. There I am, ready. There's my SPN number, and there's my title of my book. So this is called The Checkpoint, T.A. Bird, that's me. It's a short story erotica book. It's something a bit different. You can get this for free on Kindle Unlimited. You can get it on download. You can get it on paperback. You can get it on Amazon Prime, and like I said, Kindle. It's available worldwide. It's being released in both of them are being released in Australia, so you can be able to buy this in Australia soon. You can currently buy it in other markets in any English language. You can buy it in America, UK, and in other countries. So I'll try and get it translated for a few different languages for you. I have done a follow-up to Checkpoint. It's called The Two-Edged Sword. It's just, again, it's a short story just to keep you going. And this one's erotica. The next one will be like a romance follow-up to it. And I'm also starting on, there's a few other books I have going at the moment, but I've tried to put everything on the back burner because I'd like to get my my account one out. So I've just had to get permission from different people and just like to thank while I'm doing it, and then write in my account. But then my account from my my disclosure for my UFO account, and you can find that on a BFOG, Birmingham UFO Group website. It's been in 4 issues of the UFO Truth magazine. You can subscribe to them or see Gary Hasseltine online. I think it's issues 33, 34, 35, and 36. It's 4 issues of the UFO Truth magazine. So you can check that out, guys. You can become a member on there and have a look at that. But my account will be released in my book with copies and pictures of my drawings and things like that. So that'll also be in it. So it's going to take a little while to work out, and you can read about the details and everything you'd like to in there again. Again, all I can say is if you have questions from previous shows, please email us, message us, contact us, let us know. If you have answers from any of our previous show that me and Tommy have asked about, or like any space questions or any abduction questions, please or answers, please let us know. We can tell our viewers. And again, if you have any questions yourself, would like to come on the show and question me and Tommy about our accounts, then please do so. Feel free. Always contact Tommy's emails, always up. You can find it. Please check out and like on YouTube, like and share on YouTube. You can find this video all across the internet as well. Tommy, I'm just going to read the notes quickly. Carry on.
Tina, I think, what you could do, if you put your own sketches there, have a professional artist draw them in detail so that you can really see what you actually saw.
Because I'm not a great artist.
No, really. I mean, you saw it, but you could describe it to the artist, and they could really draw it, really fine-tune it.
Well, I have all my drawings, what I've drawn, so they could use that. Yeah, I suppose you're right.
I mean, there's a comic book character out there who's doing a UFO story based in comic book form. But, I think people are ready for real pictures of real things, like what they're supposed to look like, what they really look like, and what they are. But in the interim, Tina, if you have any other ideas about releasing this book anytime sooner, I mean, people are really asking for it already. I got a lot of people saying, "Oh, where's our book? Where's our book?" You got to get with it. I think that's so much more important for you right now than writing love stories. Not that it's not a good thing, but I mean, it depends. Are you doing it for money? Are you doing it to get the truth out?
I'm doing it to get the truth, Tommy. It's not going to be right. I have dyslexia at best, so and I'm not a great artist. But literally, if I was doing it for money, I would have had this out 10 years ago, people. So no, it's not for money. I don't accept it to be a bit, it's my account. It's what it is what happened to me, and that's it.
Well, people, this is as real as it gets. We hit a lot of different things as often as we can. That's why I let her tell her story a lot, because people need to know that being abducted is not something you want. It's not going to make you feel good. Now, like all these people that want to take a trip out in space and spend how much money to go up in space for 10 minutes? Really? You could feed a whole bunch of children and things like that with that money rather than waste it to go up and down in a rocket ship. But people that have money don't care about people. And that's a problem with the world right now.
Aliens don't care about people. I've been to another planet. It didn't cost me a thing. It cost me a few more things within my life, but hey.
Well, I mean, if aliens were giving us things, it might be a good thing. But I can tell you this. Way back when, I knew a person from MJ12. And if you watch X-Files, the real movie that came out, the X movie, the first movie, it was based on a lot of facts. And the facts are how aliens are here playing with bees and growing them and things like that. There's a reason behind it. Well, one of the people from MJ12 offered us honey that can cure any disease on this planet. Well, sadly, he was killed before we got it. And I never heard anything about that again. But I was getting all my inside information from him because he was part of the top secret people that knew everything that was going on. So when these people talk and they don't know anybody important, like in MJ12, and they talk about this, that, and the other thing and have no clue what they're talking about, it's useless information. And that's why I'm going to go over a bunch of names as soon as I say goodbye to Tina. She might know what I'm listening to. But
Tommy's kicking ass and taking names, people.
You're going to hear.
Just remember, it's not me. Oh my God!
And it's not Tina. She's not to blame for what I'm about to do.
I like to remain neutral, but I like to have my say as well. So, Tommy, from me here in the UK, it's been absolutely great talking with you again. And Mel Marcus from Alf, isn't it? I remember that as a child. So, thank you very much for coming on and participating and asking questions. Tommy, I shall see you next week, and we'll be another week closer to disclosure then from the USA. And let's see what they have. I think everyone's going to be disappointed. Thank you again for having me. It's been great.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Tina. Till next time.
Stay safe. Thank you, Tommy.
You stay safe too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye.
All right, people. What I'm about to do is to help people become a little more aware of what's going on in the real world. All right, I'm going to name a bunch of people today. All right, I'm going to tell you a short thing about each one and what they're doing, what they're saying, what's out there mainstream. All right, I live in Hawaii. One of the biggest speakers here in Hawaii, his name is Michael Sala. He's on Ancient Aliens once in a while. He's hanging with all the big UFO speakers. He writes a lot of books. I met him a few times. I think he's, I won't say how I feel about him, but he does a lot of speaking and writing about secret government programs. Basically, that's all he does. And he attacks the U.S. government. I said to myself, and I told him to his face many times, he finally blocked me, that if you're going to attack the U.S. government, attack your own government. He's from Australia, and Australia has the biggest army base on the planet there. I said, attack them. Talk about what's going on there. You probably have no clue what's going on that base. All right, they have the most earthquakes around that part of the island all the time. Something's going on there. I talked to my friends up around there and stuff. Very few people have any clue about what's really going on in that base. So I kept telling them, attack them. Don't attack the U.S. government. They're doing what they have to do. They're doing what they need to do. Sure, they can't tell everybody what's going on. Russia and Germany and China, all these countries don't need to know our top information. The same as they're not giving us theirs. But we did work with Russia and we did work with Germany at different levels during the wars we actually had. And he's one of the people that I have a problem with. The next name I'll say is Corey Good. He's always talking about the blue Aryans, that the aliens that he works with. He met them a while ago, and they showed him visions of the future president and things like that. But and now he's doing comic book versions of what his story is and things like that. He was brought into the future, brought into the past, and all that. Well, all these people that talk about that, does it help us? Is there anything in that that's going to make us better people? I doubt it. Now, one of the biggest names in the UFO world that's been around a long time, one of the first people out there, and when he first came out, said he was God on TV, David Wilcock. He's always talking bull, in my viewpoint. He likes to get into stories and link things to other things, pictures, images, statues. And he's always saying he's spiritual. Sorry, people, there's nobody spiritual on this planet. Please, prove it. People even say whatever you want, but proving you're spiritual, I doubt it. All right. Now, another person who claims the same thing, Bashar, he channels an alien being whatever. He says a lot of stuff. And these people that say a lot of things, look at our reality, look what's happening. Are they talking about our problems right now, which have always been our problem? War. And it's always race, tribes that can't get along. And that's because they can't agree on the same God. Has nothing to do with aliens. Has nothing to do with anything other than that. So, it's time to wake up. Now, there was one person, Billy Myers. He was out a long time ago. In the late 50s, he came out with prophecies that the aliens gave him. He put out 100 prophecies then, and he sent it around the world to every government. And believe it or not, about 90% of them all came true, which he could have never known. You talk about the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar is useless. It doesn't tell us anything. They all said this, that, and the other thing. And what's it doing? What's it helping us with? Nothing. The other thing that's been out there mainstream is Planet X. It's coming. It's going. It's here. It's not. It's a ship. It's a planet. It's this. It's that. Is it anywhere? Is it attacking us? Are we fighting with it? Are we actually ever going to see it? Well, let me go through some more names, people, because this is what you need to know. Because all these UFO conferences coming up, and they got all these speakers. Make sure it's Somebody wants me. Some chemical company wants me for some reason. I have no clue what. But Andrew Basiago claims he went to Mars with the president. He claims he has a picture of him in his past life, which could be anybody. All these little things. How much does he really know? How much can he help the world? He said he was going to be president. Then he got really sick. He was almost blind. He got better. Now he claims he's going to be the next president after the next president. Okay, so it means a while away. Do people know who Basiago is? Do they care? Do they want to know? Then we have somebody like Robert Bigelow, a millionaire, who actually was trying to cover up all the UFO information, buying it out. He bought it out from MUFON. One of my friends in Hawaii was had lots of videos of UFOs in space from planes, and he tried to buy it all from him. He said, no, it's online. I'm not going to sell you it. You can look at it. All right. Charles Hall. I met him. He seems like a real nice guy, honest guy. He claims to worked with the tall whites on government property. So his story is incredible. I kind of believe him. There's people you got to analyze who they are, where they came from, what they're trying to say, and what are they really doing. Drumbelow Melchizedek, all right, claimed he's working with the crystal race. The crystal race are the races inside the planet Earth. He says they're crystals and they take forms of people. And he said he brought 100 people down there years ago. And he says he was going to bring them out to the world, which never happened. I wonder why. All right. Now, you're going to spend money to go to a UFO conference, and you're going to hear names like Richard Dolan. Talks some more. Zero experience, zero proof, and he wants you to accept what he believes. Like he thinks we really care about what he thinks. Do I care about what anybody thinks about aliens? No. Only the facts matter. What they want, what they're doing, and what they are really here for. Now, we got somebody like Daryl Sims. He goes, he's called the alien hunter. Well, it's pretty hard to hunt aliens. You can go where you hear somebody who was abducted and things like that. He was working with people that were implanted with a person who's no longer alive as well. All right. But then we get, mentioned Travis Walton, an abductee. Well, he doesn't know what really happened, and he's still trying to figure it out. I think Tina is one of the few people that know much more about everything and was also being used by the aliens and things that are happening that the aliens don't even know why or how. When she gets into that part of her story and stuff, it's really, really interesting. Now, a friend who is no longer here, Jose Escamillo, he used some of our videos on some of his movies and stuff like that, but he called everything rods. Okay, interdimensional creatures and entities. But there were small ones. There was ones that like go through the body, the little things that fly around the body and stuff like that, as well as big ones that are in the sky. So he called them all rods. He got sick. He was working with DuPont. He was supposed to do a movie of filming rods inside a cave, and then he got really sick and died. Ed Grimsley now did. Used to take people out at night at the UFO conferences and let people see aliens, and I mean, not aliens, UFOs and things like that. There's somebody that took his place who knows nothing about UFOs at all. I'm not even going to say her name, but she's going to a lot of UFO conferences, and that's what she does. She takes people out to look at the sky. I talked to her once, and sorry, people, she has no clue what she's saying. Oh, you're seeing this. She said, I know the difference between a blinking star and a blinking ship. So when somebody tells you, oh, you're just seeing, just because they haven't seen it, or they didn't see it, or they don't have a clue what it is, they have no right talking about it. All right. Now there's a name that a lot of people know, James Gillen. He was a regular UFO person on a ranch that had a lot of UFO stuff going on. A friend of mine from a teaching called Kunlun, all right, went out to his ranch with two of his students, and the battle went down, and suddenly James Gillen's spiritual, going around teaching spiritual things now. It's amazing how people do things and suddenly they're spiritual. People, listen to me. There's nobody spiritual on this planet, or they wouldn't be here. This is hell. This is as bad as it gets. So if you want to say you're in heaven and you're going to go to a better place, really think again. You're going to reincarnate, especially if you don't even know what the word karma means or how to work it out or what it is or how much you have. All right. And James Gillen has a lot of things. I met with him a couple times out here in Hawaii. He claims that a 40-foot alien came out of the mountain, which was just a hologram. He claims a lot of things. He claims he worked with this. The only thing I have to say, he talks about this being that he met, and he gave her the name. And one of the first aliens I ever saw was a human with a cat's head. And I hate to say it, but it wasn't good. It wasn't like talking to us or nothing like that. But it's called the Isetti Ranch. If you want to go to a ranch and see stuff, good, bad, and indifferent, John Edmond, he has the Stardust Ranch. If you want to go out there, hang out there for a week, I'm sure he'll let you. You want to see things, experience things, that's a place to go. But I kind of ended my friendship with him for a lot of reasons, because he's not going to get rid of the negative stuff that's there, which he should. His wife's been abducted, and all kinds of horrible things happen out there. So if you want to get into that realm and deal with that, that's a good place to go. Give him a couple dollars, he'll let you stay there. Considering like James Gillen wants you to sign a paper, and he takes everything you film and all that as his as well. So if you want to go to this ranch and be totally open and ready to battle whatever creatures and entities come out, it's a good place to go. I went there with a medicine woman, a top photographer, and even and filmed the ship over the house. So yeah, it's a hot place. It's right near an alien army base. It's just interesting, but outside of that, I'm not going to go any further. All right, his books are out there if you're interested. All right, George Norrie. All right, all the people from coast to coast. They have no evidence, no experience. All they know is they talk to other people. How much of that they accept and want to believe is up to them. But their knowledge is from that. I say the only knowledge that's important is direct experience. It's like saying, well, I know somebody that was in love with somebody, so I know what love is. No, you don't. You have to experience something to understand it. I was next to a Bigfoot. I was next to an alien, next to many ships, and you name it. So my awareness of it, what it is, what it feels like, what it vibrates at, is a lot more real to me than trying to read somebody's story or listen to somebody tell their story, especially if they didn't even experience it, which is mind-boggling. All right? These people out there, I have an open debate. Anybody that's in the UFO world that wants to debate the truth of what they think is true to what I know is true, anytime, anywhere, any place, their site, my site, online, offline. But people like Grant Cameron comes out and says all aliens are good. Only a fool could say that. It's like saying all Americans are good. All men are good. That's like the most ridiculous statement you could say. Most men are not at any level. All right. George Cavalassius is from Australia. He claimed he talks with aliens and everything. I kind of agreed with a lot when he first came out. He said a lot of things that I was totally ingrained with. But then when he said the alien said the world was going to be destroyed and this, that, and the other thing, everything he said was wrong. If an alien's going to tell you a story, make sure it's real. And how do you know? Because it's not going to happen anyway. Now, let me explain this to you. Tesla and DuPont were working together. But let's go back a little bit further. Einstein actually worked with an alien race. You don't learn things that he learned from school. Definitely not. And what he did, he was given false information as well. Why would an alien race give him false information? Well, they're trying to program us and keep us in line. Now, Tesla worked with an alien race as well. But the race that Tesla worked with gave him 200 inventions. And Tesla copyrighted all of them. And they all work. So, going to school, he made 200 inventions out of school? Of course not. Now, what did they give Tesla? Were weapons and dangerous things that will destroy the planet. Not make it better. Free energy and all these words. Oh, and that's what everybody concerned about. Well, cars that drive themselves means no people. Robots means no people. So all the things you're hearing is about the disappearance of humans. Bring in the Agenda 21, UN Agenda 21, which actually goes to 30. What's going to happen in the next couple of years? It's happening. It will happen. And I don't think enough people have a brain or awareness enough to try to stop it and get involved with stopping it at a higher level than just saying, oh, we're not going to let it happen. No, you just can't say. It's called involvement. And what are you doing to stop it from happening? And basically, Bush made sure that that can't happen. Right after 9/11, he said the patriotic bill is no longer real. We cannot form a militia. If you form a militia, which Thomas Jefferson created and put it in the bill, you become a terrorist. And the way Bush said it, you're either for us or you're a terrorist. With that being said, why don't they arrest Trump? He's a terrorist. All the people around him, why don't they arrest them as well as a terrorist? Or put him on lockdown, put him on something, medicine. But we got serious problems. Are you ready to change it? Looking for a dog? So, with that, now I did a show with her, and basically, she wouldn't go against anything I said. But I listened to her show many times after and realized her viewpoint, her ideas are based on love and light and delusion. The delusion part is she went to Mars with the president as well as Mr. Bashago did. All right, what did they do there? All right, all these stories. All right, Stephen Lear is dead now, but he was doing implant removals, which was really important in the UFO world because proving that there was something actually put in a person was really critical. Not that the government cared or anybody else cared, but people that had it done did care. Now, I'm going to mention the biggest joke of all, Stephen Greer. Stephen Greer actually is noted for and responsible for the word disclosure. Sorry, people, there is no disclosure yet. If 2 weeks from now the government comes out and shows videos of aliens, that will be disclosure. I mean, and now in the UFO world, he's one of the people pushing the idea of a fake alien invasion. No such thing. You can't create a fake alien invasion. I mean, if you saw the War of the Worlds, the movie, that happens and it's a fake invasion. No, there's no such thing as a fake invasion. I mean, they could show holograms in the sky, but that's not going to bother people, is it? And we see a lot of things in the sky. Does it bother us? I mean, and they have a silhouette of Jesus coming out of a cloud of people. Religious people might want to believe it, but it is going to put fear in among people that don't believe in Jesus. So, all right, I'm going to go into one other name that I feel I followed for 40 years. Linda Moulton Howe. She's always brought on a lot of the specials and talking about this. She was just brought on to this Skinwalker Ranch because they had a cattle mutilation there. Yeah, she went out to a lot of them, took pictures of a lot of them, and proved nothing about them. I'm not even in that field of trying to prove cattle mutilation or any kind of mutilation. I was on a farm in Oregon and Washington, and I saw mutilation. I saw a ship over an animal, and when I went out to where the animal was, it was completely drained of blood. But I saw the ship over it. I saw the beam of light coming down. So when Linda Moulton Howe talks about cattle mutilation, well, bugs don't do this, animals don't do this, and all scenarios. I don't like scenarios of anything. Scenario means a could be, maybe, questionable idea. And we're way beyond that. We're in a time we need the truth. Now, before I let you go, people, Whitney Schreiber is really big in the UFO world. I don't know if you know him or his books. He said he was abducted. But he was on a movie on TV when they did the alien, it wasn't an autopsy, it was an interview with an alien. They have him in this dark room and they're trying to ask him questions like the alien's going to talk. But Whitney Schreiber started crying and they show him Whitney Schreiber looking at the film. Oh, what are they doing to him? Where he came up with that was mind-boggling. But in the interim, a friend of mine sued him for using some of our pictures. But recently, he just put out a brand new book, which I'm open in arms, ready to debate him, challenge him, face him off anywhere and any way I can now. He's putting a book out about Jesus. A UFO person abducted is going to talk about Jesus like he has a clue. Now, nobody, maybe I seem like one of the few people on this planet that have a real clue about who Jesus was, what he did, what he taught, what he was here for. Because the Bible doesn't talk about it. Now, the lost books of the Bible talk about it a little more than anything in the Bible does. What was really going on and things like that, the exercises and things like that. But for Whitney Schreiber to talk about Jesus, Billy Myers talked about in the book he supposedly found Judas's manuscript, which wasn't a real one. I think aliens gave it to him to read because he was in a cave and pulled out a book and 6 months later, the actual manuscript was found in pieces and they put it together. It took a year and then they actually wrote it out. But all I can say, people, my experience comes from past life experiences, awareness of all my lifetimes back to Atlantis. You all can get it. You will have them. Whether you're willing and able and ready to put the time in to get to and know any of them, it can only be beneficial. Because you can understand the word karma, why you're still here, why you came back to this planet, what mission you think you have that you don't have, or what mission you really have that you're not even finding. There's a lot of reasons for a lot of things. But with the speakers out there that have no clue what they're talking about is not going to help you. Unless you're ready to commit to your own truth, searching it out, finding it, breaking down the truth that's out there that you hear. In the UFO world, now I want to bring this out before you start going to all these UFO conventions and spending a couple $1,000s. Nobody in the UFO world talk about the truth. Why not?
He just keeps throwing up.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, they tell everything other than the truth. The truth, like, what's really going on. All right. Now, they don't talk about why aliens are really here, what they're really doing. They don't talk about what happened to people that get abducted. They talk about, the world's dimensions, what's happening on the good side. Well, the truth's out there, people. But with that, be aware, search out the truth. Till next time. So with that, love and light, compassion, hope you get what you want in life. Look for it. If you want the truth, stay tuned, call in, text me, Hawksblood1AOL.com, Skype, Hawksblood11. We'll get into it. We get into it as often as we can, as hard as we can. people like to listen, but they don't want to hear what they hear. All right, it's time to say goodbye. Till next time, people.